Welcome into the Double Down podcast. We should have started. I think we did. Welcome in, though. We are doing our AFC North divisional breakdown today. If we have time, we'll do the West too, but I don't know if we will. Gonna try to run through it a little bit quick. We got the Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns in the AFC North. And this is an interesting division to me this year in terms of the top two teams, I think, are going to be probably top heavy compared to the bottom two teams. I know historically the Steelers and their coach are always at least 500. They're probably striving for 9-8 with an old man Aaron Rodgers, but their line right now is at 8.5. So that is right where all of us think they should be.
Yeah, just consistently 8-9 win team the last few years.
Vegas will do that to you. That's such a great line, man. As soon as I saw that it was 8.5, I'm like, of course it is.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's only right. Their moves kind of seemed lateral this offseason.
I feel that.
Rather than upgrades. Like you could say they upgraded their corner spots, but I'm not really sure they upgraded their secondary as a whole. Like, yeah, you signed Darius Slay. Yeah, you traded for
Minka away.
Yeah, you traded Minka for Ramsey. So you bolster your corners, but you lose probably the best piece of your secondary. And you get older on top of that.
And
that's something that
it's a damn shame that they just decided to bench Fields to get those picks, because honestly they were doing great with Fields last year.
Yeah, and the other thing too, one of their top picks, I think their first rounder, if I'm not mistaken, he's out for he's on the IR, the DT from Oregon, so he's going to be missing some time early for that defense. And Cam Hayward, I don't think he's signed yet either.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. So the things like that will affect them early on because they won't have their young star DT. They won't have Cam Hayward unless he decides all of a sudden he's going to play.
Yeah.
But it sounded like he wants a contract before anything. So there's just a lot to just in my eyes that could go wrong.
Yeah, 100%, especially with Rodgers being as old as he is. He didn't look that great with the Jets last year.
No one really does look great with it. It's kind of the Jets. I saw someone this morning on a post when I was up early, and it said something of the nature of like quarterbacks that go to I have this theory as well, but quarterbacks and Jets or quarterbacks that go to the Jets and Browns, just are destined to kind of have a tough, either a rough start, a tough start, or just destined
no success.
Disappear. Yeah. Or you go to a different team and have better success. We've seen that often. Jameis was like one of the few QBs where there was not really success, maybe more just you're looking at him last year saying, okay, clearly he keeps them in a lot more games than other guys. Flacco can kind of do the same thing, but like those are not long-term answers at quarterback for these guys or for this team. So now you look at their roster as a whole, and they, again, another lateral move, in my opinion, going from Pickens to DK. DK may be a little bit more of a refined product, but that's because he's had better quarterbacks over his career, and he's been in the league a little bit longer.
He's older and a little bit more bigger too, like built in terms
of but they're very similar style because they both bully DBs and at the line block.
Very much.
They both are deep ball threats that can just go up and get it with the best of them.
High point the ball,
yes. Pickens is a better. It's weird to say this.
Pickens probably has better hands.
So hear me out when I say this, because DK is an athlete and like he's big, strong, fast, but Pickens is a better athlete in the sense of body control in the air and making those tougher catches. DK is capable, but his strength and bigness kind of makes him a little more stiff to those plays rather than Pickens can kind of twirl in the air, go do something crazy where you're like, what in God's name just happened?
Yeah.
So that's one thing they may lose is not necessarily the deep ball, but the bad throw, spectacular catch kind of plays. They don't really have they have Calvin Austin, who's we like, but
both of us think he's a good receiver.
We just don't know if he's ready yet to be a 2.
Yeah.
Roman Wilson, same thing. We haven't seen
barely seen anything.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough road for them. They just announced yesterday. We announced that live yesterday that Jaylen Warren will be the running back for them to start the year. He's going to be their
over
lead
Caleb
guy.
Johnson.
Yeah, and that'll probably change at some point in the season, and that's still a good duo to have.
Oh yeah.
But they've had issues on their line, and if you're still relying on TJ Watt to win you 10 plus games, he's great, but it's not gonna. That's why the high key that
8.5 is.
That's why they're around that number all the time at 9 and 8 or 8 and 8 before the 17 game season.
The defense keeps them in it. And their offense is still good enough with the running game usually.
Yeah, they've completely flipped. They used to have the combination of the two. Then they kind of went more offense when they had Big Ben back in the day with the triple Bs, Ben, Brown, and Bell.
Yeah.
And that was a great offensive team, and they had some good defenses with them as well. But now it's kind of flipped to being a lot more defensive since they haven't really found a quarterback in the last few years.
Sure.
that they can just stick with.
And then they got Watt. So
and TJ again keeps you, like we talked about, he keeps you in games. It'll be an interesting season for them. I have for sure them at the bottom of the division, like that defense.
Yeah, the Browns with more wins.
Sorry. At the bottom of the division, just ahead of the Browns.
Oh, okay.
Still bottom 2.
So that's why
to me, saying. If you're the bottom is like this, the bottom 2 in the division, unless your division is just that stacked, which this division is very good. Steelers can kind of compete with anyone still in a sense, but they could also lose to anyone, in my opinion. That defense keeps them in any game. This first week against the Jets is kind of an interesting matchup. They are 3-point favorites on the road. But if I'm a betting man, I'm kind of going to probably take the Jets plus points. I know it's the Jets, and I know, or I'm teasing the under a good 7 to 8 points and trying to get in that mid 45 range, 45 and a half, something like that. Maybe 46, under 46. I really don't know if either of these teams are going to – both defenses are very capable. Both defenses are healthy as far as I know. It's going to be a struggle to put points on the board, I think, in this matchup. You might even see a couple of defensive scores.
Yeah.
Just in the fact that, we kind of know that TJ – if Cam Hayward's, even without Cam Hayward and the other DT, their defense is still respectable with the other linebackers.
Yeah, no, they got some great. Highsmith is good.
The thing is back to what I first mentioned though, is that they made a lot of lateral movements. Najee to Caleb Johnson, we haven't seen it yet, but in my eyes, it could be a lot of similar type of look, maybe see him 1,000 yards consistently, but not at the top tier. There's another aspect to this offense in the O-line, again, like we said, that they need to make improvements this year individually and as a group to hope. They got to keep Rodgers upright to hope they have a chance. And it's got to be Rodgers, the good Rodgers. It can't be the bad Rodgers that we've seen at times. But I will say, the bad Rodgers last year, if you look at his numbers as a whole, they weren't actually that awful. It maybe looked bad a lot of games.
It looked like a decline.
Yes,
but it looked like the last couple of years.
It's very hard not to decline from what he was at.
Sure,
you're gonna have to at some point
coming
when you're
back from a tear like that too. That's definitely not an easy thing to
exactly. And he just came off an MVP season 3 years ago.
Probably.
It was 40-something touchdowns, minimal interceptions. We know what Rodgers can do at his peak. He is no longer there, but let's be real. An okay Rodgers is better than a lot of the league. The thing the Steelers have to do is keep him upright and give him the opportunity to make those, to show that he's capable of still making those plays. I'm not sitting here trusting in him at all. I would trust him to lead them to a better record along with that defense, like with than the Browns. But I think week 1, I maybe take the Jets plus points. Wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers win that game. But looking at their, just quickly kind of gazing at their schedule, if you look at their first 1, 2, 3, 6 weeks, they have a bye early, which could affect them late. That, like, the bye early is not a horrible thing, but a late bye can help you recover guys that are hurt, or a mid bye. An early bye is, in my opinion, sometimes useless unless you start slow. And
early buys aren't as great in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Steelers you could look at their schedule and make a case that they could start 5-0 through the bye, like into week 6. But you could also make the case that they could lose to the Jets, the Seahawks, the Vikings, and only beat the Patriots and the Browns. And you could even make the case they might lose to the Patriots.
Welcome back in. I'm surprised that this is even still on air, but that's fantastic that it is.
Thanks for staying with us. If you did, it's a little technical difficulties courtesy of the
menace right here just shut down our entire stream.
the albino alligator down there.
Yeah, so we apologize. Thanks for bearing with us, though. We are still getting into the AFC South divisional breakdown.
North.
See, now she's just ruined the whole thing. AFC North.
God in heaven if we go back to the AFC South.
No, we're done with the AFC South.
Thank
That is
God.
a trash division compared to this one. And even then, there's a couple teams in this division that do remind me of that one.
Browns.
We were talking about the Steelers and really the whole division, but I don't know exactly where we left off.
I was talking about the Steelers' schedule, I believe. Did we have any questions in the chat?
We did, actually. There was one from Tanganja again. Much love for coming back, my
appreciate you.
I know that you might miss this one again. Hopefully not, though. I apologize for you missing the one yesterday, but he asked, start 2 out of 3 between Tedero McMillan, Omarion Hampton, and Cortland Sutton. Full PPR, I believe.
Definitely starting Hampton just off the bat.
Yeah, I probably would start Hampton too as a flex. That's money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't know how much work Najee's actually going to get, and if any other running back gets work, it's probably not going to be too much. They do like to run committee just historically, but they drafted Hampton as high as they did for a reason. On top of that, he's just head and shoulders better than all the rest of those running backs. What was the first name mentioned?
The first name was Tedero McMillan, which I obviously love. I'm a Panther fan. You see the Cam Newton thing right there. I love Ted. Yeah. I think he's going to be a great start week 1. Do I think he's going to be better start than Cortland Sutton?
Sutton plays the Titans.
He does play the Titans.
Yeah, I might leave. Just like we got a Sutton question, I think, yesterday, and we've talked about him quite a bit in the last 24 hours. I do think that's this probably the number one thing, the safer start, because of the fact that this will be Tet's first game.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he's not going to blow up or not do well. But Cortland Sutton, you've seen what he did in the preseason. If you paid attention, he was having game after game. And
I'm not going to lie either. Historically, Tedero McMillan and Travis Hunter have had a long-standing history where they have played each other since like high school.
And Hunter has had some games where he's actually locked him up.
Yeah, he's had his
not
number.
Every game, but more often than not, I think.
Yeah,
it's probably like a 60-40 split.
I have the Panthers winning week 1 against Jacksonville, but I could definitely see somehow there's a couple plays or throughout the game, Travis Hunter might be locking him up if he's playing defense consistently. I think. Obviously, Travis Hunter was banged up already in the preseason. He had some sort of questionable tag at some point.
Yeah, if you're in a best ball league at all, I would seriously target Chuba. One as well, and because of the fact that Hunter could be locking up McMillan,
Chuba's definitely a dude anytime that I love.
And then the other 3 I would consider is Jatavian Sanders, probably.
Interesting. I
like
that.
Worth no type of,
he's a red zone threat, and they did get rid of Thielen, so you never know.
Yes, and then the 2 wide receivers that probably will have some type of role for them outside of Tet is going to be, Jimmy Horn's a little down on the depth chart. Correct?
Not at the so that's I was wondering because now that you're saying that Jimmy Horn should actually. Coker actually just got put on the IR short term.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that was honestly great because I just picked him up on our dynasty after they traded Thielen.
And he just moved into the IR.
I moved him to the IR and picked somebody else up. It was great. But not great that he is on the IR. It could actually mean, though, that Jimmy Horn could get some early reps this season, which would be fantastic to see him and Tet potentially out there week 1.
Be great for everyone.
Yeah, building rapport early.
And now you have a guy that's a little more able to become.
So I love Tet, and I think week 1 he's probably a good play just on receptions and yards probably alone, regardless of if he gets a touchdown.
Sutton is probably the better play.
Sutton is definitely a safer play, even if they go up early. it's probably going to be with him heavily involved. J.K. Dobbins was listed as the one on their official depth chart with R.J. Harvey as the two behind him. So I feel like they'll definitely use a mix of the two and get them involved early and often. But then, of course, by the end of the game, maybe that's when they start letting R.J. Harvey get some carries if they're up. But I don't know. Titans could keep it a somewhat interesting game the first half.
The one thing that would just make me probably start Sutton is I couldn't really name you one corner on the Titans that can really probably stay with Sutton like that. I don't, unless they double team him. And then again, another best ball play could be Troy Franklin or someone of that name, or a Pat Bryant or a Marvin Mims. But the likelihood of the outcome of this game is going to be a dominant performance from Bo Nix as well as Cortland Sutton, and then the Chiefs versus the Chargers and Hampton. As far as that game goes, I know that's Friday, so you need to probably decide this sooner rather than later. Hampton, to me, is a necessity for the offense to stay with the Chiefs in that game. And it's not like the Chiefs are going to be able to just score a billion points.
Yeah, willy-nilly in a sense.
Because we've seen their scheme and their style of play change from game to game, almost week to week. And against the Chargers, it's divisional. Chargers have seen them. They know them. They're well coached by Harbaugh. There's a lot to like in what they've done in the offseason. The one concern for the Chargers for me is how do they replace Slater was the one that was lost for the season, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so no Slater definitely is going to be an interesting fix on that line because he's probably the best player on that line.
That's fair.
But they did get Joe Alt.
Okay. I did remember that. That's
right. and so that'll be a kind of step up in terms of, he's going to get a lot of reps and he's going to learn fast, and he's a great player already. So you don't get drafted top 6, I think he was, something like that.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, so they'll be okay. They'll be fine. Hampton will be a big part of what they do, and
I think he's definitely a great play week one.
Yeah, him and Sutton. Ted is not a bad play. So if you kind of have an itch to play him, don't be afraid to.
Yeah, you're not going to go wrong.
Research,
probably.
Do the research on the Travis Hunter matchup first. Like, literally go back. Maybe you don't have to go far as back as high school, but you can because it shows that they know each other and they've played against each other.
Yeah.
So when you get to the point of kind of deciding that, because to me, again, for me, Hampton's the first start. He's got the probably best chance for the most touches.
Me too. Activity. As a flex, that's just a great play.
Correct.
In general.
Yeah. So I start Hampton, and then the second one, you kind of just decide your preference.
Yeah. And again, because you didn't hear it yesterday, if you want to go back and watch, hopefully you're still with us. I have both of those guys. I have Sutton and I have Hampton. Hampton's my RB2 for our home league. Sutton right now is at my flex over DJ Moore.
Hampton's actually my RB1, I think, for one of our leagues.
Yeah, there's a couple leagues I have him as a 1 or 2 for sure.
Yeah, there's a league I have Hampton and Henderson because I believe in the.
We both think he's a potential league winner type of running back this season.
So. I 100% think he could be a league winner type of guy, and that's just based off consistency and then the fact that they run the ball so much, and they're gonna win probably a decent amount of games this year. Yeah, I mean, look at last year as an example. Look at J.K. Dobbins' resurgence.
Yeah, he was.
J.K. Dobbins is clearly not the player he used to be, and he's definitely not the running back that Omarion Hampton is. Omarion Hampton would have been the number 1 running back if it wasn't for a generational talent, potential. Exactly. Potential generational talent with Jet T. So
sure.
We would have seen Hampton go number 1 at running back last year easily.
Yeah, even Travion Henderson. You know what I mean? Like he's
the two of them. If they would have went last year somehow, they would have been probably the top 2 backs in my
straight up. So to kind of get back on topic, We'll kind of run through quickly with the Steelers. They are plus 425. I know we're not necessarily starting with the top of the division here with them, but they're just the most intriguing to me in terms of Old Man Rodgers. The fact they're plus 425 to win the division, and then they're of course 8.5 win total.
I will say they have like as easy as some again, we talked about it. Some people may feel like that first 6-week stretch with the bye in there might be easy for them with a potential win against all the teams. I'm going to go ahead and say they lose at least 2 of those, probably 3. But they'll probably lose 2 of those. The stretch that's going to be damn near impossible to come out with a winning record is week 7 all the way to week 14. The only game of even actually you can say week 7 on. That is a close to impossible schedule. They have like maybe 3 teams.
I think from week 7 on.
Oh my God, Bengals twice.
I have them winning maybe 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. Bengals twice, which divisional maybe they've maybe split. But I think Bengals could get them both times.
I think they would low key win the first game against them.
At Bengals,
low key, but
really,
just I don't know. I have a couple weird ones. They might. I think they split regardless.
I think on a Thursday, Joe goes in there in his own house on prime time and just takes over. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't. They're much better against the Bengals at home. Not that they haven't beat us on the road, but I just think
I'll tell you the only games I have them winning this season. Week 4 against Minnesota potentially. Week 6 against Cleveland.
They always get the Ravens once.
I do have them.
They always get the Ravens once.
Baltimore week 18 because they might be just benching their guys or whatever.
Possible.
That's why I have them beating them that week, and then
I could see them beating the Dolphins on Monday night.
I could see them low-key beating the Ravens
the Browns,
both times. But
I could see them
cheese,
beating the Browns both times.
Yeah, I could see that. I low-key could see the Browns beating them once, though, too.
Yeah, I can as well.
Because I feel like the Browns have got to win some games this season.
Yeah, I mean, between one of the Ravens games, one of the Bengals games, the Bills, the Chargers, the Packers, the Seahawks. I don't have them beating. I don't think they beat the Seahawks.
No, they don't.
And I don't think they beat even though they're at home those games, I don't think they beat the Vikings either.
That's fair. Yeah, I have them at 6-11. So
yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing really more. I mean, 7 wins at most.
They're one of the teams where 8.5. I'm like, there ain't no. I'm sorry, 9-8. I know that's what you do, Mike. I know that's what the Tomlin special is. 500, if not just above, always. But this is the year, dude. You have just absolutely your entire team has been downgraded,
ageified.
Downgraded.
The only position they got younger was running back, and
they're not even
starting him.
He's the second dude on their roster.
Which doesn't mean he won't get 50.
No, he could take over, and that's something to note real quick as all these roster stuff are coming out about this guy's the running back 1 based on the official depth chart. None of that really matters.
What matters is what you see on the field week 1 and beyond.
Yeah,
and even then, Week 1 may not be a microcosm of this. They may like a matchup in week 1, and they may play a guy a little more because they like a certain defensive. They like an advantage over the defense, and then all of a sudden people start tripping out like, oh, why is this guy getting so much work? Oh my God! And then week 2 comes around, the matchups are not the same. He doesn't have the same advantage, and maybe it could be anybody, a wide receiver 3, a running back 2. Anybody like that. Like there could be games that David Montgomery outscores Gibbs just in the fact that they may be either outscoring a team by a bunch and Montgomery gets the load, or they like a matchup where they see Montgomery having an advantage in certain spots instead of it's all matchup dependent. It's when it comes down to certain things because you know who you're going to be. They know who they're going to be putting on the field week to week. With superstars and guys that are consistent roster, roster guys. But then there's other guys where Who remembers Sammy Watkins consistently just going off week one? There'd be matchups that they'd expose. Sammy Watkins all of a sudden going off, boom, boom, boom. But then after week one, it just sucks. It's like pay attention to those things. Pay attention to matchups. Look at certain advantageous spots or things that may give your guy the edge in terms of, okay, this is going to be a shootout. Maybe I start this certain wide receiver over this other wide receiver that's going to be in a game where they just go run heavy the whole time. Pay attention to those things. It matters.
Definitely. With that, though, the 6-11 total that I have them statted out for, again, just the 9-8 to me doesn't seem necessarily realistic this year at that. That would be an extra 3 wins that they most likely have to pull out of their butt.
They could. I could see them at 9-8, but that's probably the best they'll get. Like that, you can make a case they win one of each of the division games.
Yeah.
So that's 3 wins right there.
Yeah.
You can make a case they beat the Jets and they beat the Seahawks and the Patriots. So that
I see them being Minnesota before the Seahawks, but 100%.
That would be 6. That would be 6 wins. You could make a case for them beating the Colts, the Dolphins, and probably the Bears, which literally puts them at 9 wins maximum. All the other games, they're not sweeping anyone in the division other than maybe the Browns.
I think they lose week 1 against the Jets too.
And exactly, and that's what we talked about. And I'm just saying hypothetically, the best they can be is probably 9-8, 10-7 at the absolute best.
Yeah,
they're not at 11.
I think 9 is probably the absolute best for sure.
But again,
and that makes me with the 6 that I have them statted out for. It makes me. This is one of the few teams where I just a discrepancy to me. That's a 3-game difference of what they need potentially. And if you're gonna take a parlay of teams to go over and under their win totals, Steelers to me is a smash under.
Yeah, the only thing that would be a concern is if the defense is clicking and wins them games by themselves.
Sure,
and that's possible.
Sure,
they could win a game.
It's not.
They
like
could literally win a
Rodgers
game like 13-6 because of the fact that defense is so good and they scored 1 touchdown and was kicking Boswell field goals.
Yeah, it's not like Rodgers isn't potentially a year away from a leg injury that he could be a little bit better this season too.
He's also a year older too, so that's all something to think about. Very complicated team.
Yeah, they are. Because even then, their second and third best receivers are probably tight ends.
easily until Calvin. They really don't have a wide receiver too. That's why trading Pickens. From what I heard, the Steelers felt like Pickens' personality would not mesh well with Rodgers, and that's why they traded him.
Yeah, straight up. We do have some more questions and comments in the chat real quick. Darth Lance, my dude, says always get the Ravens. Interesting. I guess we'll go to them next. But then Heavenly Danger, my dude, good to see you. He said Sammy Watkins always starts strong and ends up getting cut halfway through the season.
Every time. He's right. Every time.
Facts.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're willing to take those dart throws on guys like that for week 1, it happens, but you got to be right. The one dude that's kind of like that now, but he's actually shown more consistency than Sammy Watkins over the course of a season is Shaheed.
Oh, yeah.
This dude always has like a crazy, like 2 or 3 week stretch early where you're like, brother, what?
I'm not going to lie real quick, just a note on that. I'm sure it kind of happened last year with quarterbacks other than him, but to me that was a car connection
for sure.
Yeah,
but even then,
Shaheed is great.
He's not bad.
He's not great, but he's good.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Probably better than Watkins, to be fair.
Watkins had all the talent in the world. He was just he was like Kelvin Benjamin. He probably was too many biscuits.
Too many biscuits for sure.
Freaking bum.
But definitely, I don't know. That's just no bueno.
Yeah, I mean it's for us in terms of just to round out the Steelers' point overall. They're probably we don't have them making the playoffs.
No,
if they do, it'd be the last wild card, and even then, like that's not going to happen. As far as the Ravens go,
yeah, we should move over to them.
To me, the division is between them and the Bengals.
Sure,
Bengals.
And even then, I don't even necessarily like the Ravens price to win the division. It's minus 160.
Oh no, hell no! I'm not taking that price.
Yeah.
Price, that's not a bad bet in terms of the Ravens winning the division. It's the price I don't like.
I don't like that price.
Yeah,
either.
I'm not laying juice with a team that could lose the division. Like they quote unquote got better in the secondary.
Yeah, and I will say with Derrick Henry and Lamar, they should definitely probably be the best team in the division, if not be the best team. But
their secondary still leaves questions, even though they say they improved it and got all these guys like Nate Wiggins and Jair Alexander. But the two things that I point to is like they kind of low-key did that to stop the Bengals from winning the division against them because they know the Bengals are the toughest team for them in that division. They beat us a good amount. I'm not lying. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But if you look at every game, it's Bengals shoot themselves in the foot to lose by a field goal or by, both. Sure. We literally lost going for 2, which I didn't hate, but like there was a penalty on that play that wasn't called, but it's not called. So what are you going to do? You got to, make more plays before that to not get to that point. I do think the Ravens, they on paper bolstered their secondary, but Jair Alexander is quite often not available. He was not available at least a lot of
Packers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he just hurt a good amount.
Yeah,
and I listened to a podcast the other day, and they were basically they were a Packers fan, and he was admitting that their defense is better with Jair Alexander. But he's saying the funny thing is they've been, and everyone's saying, "Oh, our defense with no Jair, blah blah blah." Like this is before Micah trade.
Yeah,
but this guy made a point. He's like, it's hilarious that people say this because our defense has actually gotten used to playing without Jair often. He's like, so they know they're fine knowing what they're doing in that sense. So that to me tells me, okay, if you got guys that have played with him talking about and reporters, and then I only report this from this podcast I heard because this is what this guy was. He was like a beat reporter, I think. It's basically giving a little spiel about what was going on inside the Packers. And it was interesting to hear that. And I'm not saying Jair makes them a worse defensive team, but I've seen Jair get burnt by Chase. I've seen Jair get burnt by many receivers. He does lock up receivers, but he also is he's not someone that scares me in terms of like they got all these guys to try to do this, stop these wide receivers in the division.
Yeah,
on the Bengals. And it's not going to really make that much of a difference. Like Marlon Humphrey even said last year, the best quarterback and wide receiver he played last year was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yep.
That's not going to change this season. That's going to stay the same. Jamar Chase will still remain the best wide receiver in the league. Jair, no matter who the best corner is, they're not really going to be. Surtain even said Chase is the best in the league. So to me, it's a battle of those two in the division. And yes, you could say the Ravens defense as a whole is better than the Bengals, but the Bengals did draft some guys, did try to make improvements, brought back Hendrickson, even though it took a while. Now that's all in the past. Now the focus is let's go get after football this year. Their DBs will now be healthy. Which now, and you got to believe the Ravens too will, again, everyone's going to be a little bit better than they were last year defensively. Ravens will make a step up because they did make those moves. Will it be enough to stop the Bengals offense? We'll see. Bengals made improvements and got healthy and they can't really be worse defensively than last year. So to me, it's like the tougher games are going to be on probably the Ravens schedule. Because of where they finished in the standings?
Sure, but also I'm not going to lie. The way I have it statted out, Ravens are the way I have it statted out is they go 9-0 to start the year. 8-0, sorry, not 9-0 because
wow, that's insane. I actually think
there's a couple games in there they could easily lose, but I think that
I think in the first 6 weeks they could end up 3-3.
That's fair. I'm sure there's some bias in there, but also
No,
it's realistic because of Buffalo, Detroit, and KC.
The tough games are at KC, at Buffalo. Yeah, you're at home against the Texans, but that's a tough. That's a
Texans don't worry me as much.
That's after
Detroit.
a game where you're giving it your all to beat the Chiefs.
Well, and even then, I think Detroit would beat them before the Texans would.
100%. Yeah,
but
I'm just giving you. I get you.
Game. No, I'm not saying that they couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the way I have it statted out is they win the first 8 games.
Lose one to the Bengals for sure late. I think they could lose to the Vikings. They could lose to the Packers.
And I have Bengals beating them both times.
And they'll probably beat the Steelers once.
Yeah. And then they beat Cleveland twice.
1, 2, 3.
I think they beat Buffalo week 1. They beat Cleveland week 2. Detroit, you could put that a toss-up. I know we got a Lions fan in the chat, and I want to take Detroit in that one, but I think the Lions win, or the Lions don't win. I think that the Baltimore does. Then KC, I feel like KC's going to lose to them, and Houston too. I don't think Houston's good enough to beat them. Then they play the Rams. You already know how I feel about the Rams this year. Then they have a bye. Then they play Chicago. Chicago gives me no confidence that they're going to beat them. Miami gives me no confidence.
I have Ravens at anywhere from 10, 12 maximum, but no more than 12. I think they sit at 10 or 11.
That's the funny thing.
Probably 11.
I have them at winning those first 8 games, but then they lose to Minnesota, in my opinion, because I think by then Minnesota's going to be gelling and low-key making a playoff push. Cleveland.
It's also at Minnesota, and they just have they do have – the defense to stop a team like that.
Yeah, and then I think they lose to Cincinnati twice, so there's 3 losses. I think they lose to Pittsburgh once. There's 4. Green Bay, I think in week 17 they lose, and I already talked about week 18. I think Baltimore might be benching guys by that point potentially, or just not as worried about making the playoffs because they'll have 11 wins, and they probably lose to Pittsburgh week 18.
Well, if the Bengals are right there at 11 or 12 that week as well, then that's why they probably wouldn't.
They might, but even then, I think Pittsburgh probably edges it out by that on that week. But I don't know.
Like I said, Pittsburgh always beats them once.
I have them actually beating them twice, but that's because I have so many wins for the Ravens early on.
Yeah, I'd stack up the Ravens again, probably around 11 wins or so.
I'd say 11 or 12, and I'd probably go more towards the 11.
They have the potential to get to 13, but
sure,
it's a tough early schedule.
Yeah, it is.
And you're very optimistic with that 8-0. I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not. That's just what I had it statted out.
Yeah, I think probably through the first 6 weeks they go 3-3. That's my guess.
That's fair.
And maybe they win one of those big games and go 4-2.
Is that sure, Derrick Henry is healthy and great and fantastic every single season, but I do think that he's reaching an age decline. He hasn't really shown it, but I do think by closer to the 10-week mark, he could be wear down.
Just more likely than not at some point it's going to happen.
He had so many carries last season too. It just he's one of the few guys that's had that ridiculous amount of carries and then been able to do it the next season or, continue to have a good season the next year. But at this age, it's a little less likely. I still would not bet against them. Even now, they're over and under for their win total is 11.5. I have them statted out for 11 total wins.
Their first game against the Bengals is Thanksgiving. That'd be a great game to watch.
That would be a great game.
That's the night game too.
Yeah. So overall, though, I do think that they're probably going to win close to 11 games. I like that 11.5 total for Vegas.
You pick one or the other. Either one they could get to 12. They could sit right at 11. That's
a tough
Vegas number right there.
Very much. The next team we're going to talk about is the one that could maybe get us canceled for our opinions. But hey, watch the tape and at the end of the season, when we're probably right about this, you can come cry over it. So, Bengals have a total of 9.5 wins this year.
Smashing the over.
Smashing. Plus 265 is their odds to win the division. Smashing. Personally.
Yeah, 260 plus 265.
Much better
Much
price.
better price.
Much
Yeah.
better price.
With a
If you're
team that
going to
has-
take anybody to win the division, it should be the Bengals in
Yeah.
terms of price. But of course, they do have a weaker defense still, even with the changes.
That's hypothetical.
Sure,
'Cause
that is hypothetical. We haven't seen them yet, and
Yeah.
they do have a healthier secondary this year. But let's go over their schedule. Week 1 against Cleveland, W. Week 2 against Jacksonville at home, W. Week 3 at Minnesota.
That one is the one that maybe they lose.
I think
potentially.
I'm sorry, the first 3 or 4 weeks, I'm not going to be taking sure, I think I have Minnesota doing pretty decent, but betting on a technical rookie quarterback, the youngest in the league, to beat the Bengals, to beat Joe.
Sure.
I don't have that.
I'm just saying
sometimes
it's about more of the spot rather than the
the fact it's at Minnesota.
Broncos have a look ahead spot, so I think Joe goes in there.
Joe sort of does too, but I'd still take the Bengals over Broncos.
Well, Monday night is never a look ahead spot when it's against a good team. It's not a look ahead against Detroit because Denver is a good team. You're not looking past a good. You'd be looking past a bad team, not a good team.
Sure.
So to me, in those first 6 weeks, you could kind of maybe pick 1 or 2, but I think they go at least 4-2, probably 5-1.
I have them 5-1.
Yeah.
Just the one game I do have them probably losing is week 6 against Green Bay, which we've already talked about. I know you don't feel the same way.
No, but that's okay. We have around the same record at 5-1 because I'm not even sure which game they lose. I think they beat the Lions. Lions are more of an outdoor team, and I do like them. But
indoor team, you mean?
Yeah, indoor team. They're going to Cincinnati, playing outdoors. They have do you know who they have the following week?
Yeah, after Green Bay?
No, after Bengals. Yeah, they have the Chiefs after the Bengals. That's a look ahead spot for them because of the fact that, yes, Bengals are a good team and they shouldn't look ahead, but they have a little bit of history in the last couple of years. Yes, not too many games against the Chiefs, but they're kind of looked at as maybe that's a Super Bowl matchup that could happen. So that could be a look ahead spot for the Lions. We move on to Packers. I think they beat them. You think they could lose, but either way, to me, 5-1, we're right there at the same record. I think they beat the Steelers the first time on a Thursday night at home. I think they beat the Jets and the Bears. This is a beautiful home stretch for the Bengals right here. There's 4 games and then a bye, and then they go into Pittsburgh. I think they beat Pittsburgh twice. If that's the,
I think they split, but
I actually did before I'm reading this now.
I could see it.
Looking at this and having 3, you're basically playing a month at home. And you have a bye week at the end where you're like, all right, now we could get prepared to finally go on the road and dominate a team on the road. And high-key, Bengals were a better road team last year than home team. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I'm sure. Low-key, that's why I said that they probably,
You could say, but to me, Thursday night,
Chicago,
prime time, Rodgers is every time the last 2 years, Rodgers has been on prime time. It's looked bad.
Sure.
At least to me.
Sure.
But let's say they do lose 1 to the Steelers, probably have them at 2 losses at that point. I think they beat the Patriots. They might lose to the Ravens the first time.
Checking on the dog. I don't know, man. I think that definitely they possibly split with the Steelers. I see them maybe losing week 7 as back-to-back losses after losing to Green Bay too, but also tough to say which week they're really going to lose to the Steelers if they do. And week 8, I have them definitely beating the Jets, but then week 9 I think is going to be an interesting one where they're at home against Chicago. I think Ben Johnson might be able to take apart that defense if the Bears can be, figure it out by week 9, which I think by week 9 they definitely might be able to figure it out a little bit. Caleb didn't look too bad. Honestly, the Bengals, I think, will be securely in a spot where they might actually have the division by week 17 with how much, after week 9 against Chicago, I feel like they're scheduled, and obviously Baltimore, those games are going to be really tough, and Buffalo. But outside of those games, I feel like the schedule is super easy week 9 and on. And even then,
Yeah.
week 9 it might be tougher just because of Ben Johnson.
But even then, I don't think the Bears as a whole can.
I know you're, of course.
Well,
They have to lose at least 4 or 5 games this year is probably what I'm saying.
I don't think you say
I don't even know have to, but they probably
but
will.
Looking at it as
because of their defense. And yes,
you keep saying their defense, and that's based on last year without an edge on the other side and without healthy defensive backs, which is one of the most important parts of a defense, is having more pressure and a healthy defense in the secondary. So having those two things now, both edges, along with healthy secondary, I think I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 defense. All I'm saying is all they have to be around is a 17th ranked rather than a 27th ranked, and you will see them win way more games.
Well, yeah, I mean, I already have them winning 12 games this season.
Yeah, okay, so
I have them winning.
You're a little under me, but that's
like
fine.
I'm not. It's funny to me because I'm like, dude, I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but they could easily lose a game here or there to Green Bay or Chicago.
I'm not saying this to you. I'm just saying
I know in general, and I know you're very passionate about them, but I feel like there's going to be a few cheese losses here and there, and even then, one of the 5 losses I have for them is because they're literally. I already have them winning the division, so they bench people week 18 against Cleveland.
You do know we did that like a year ago and destroyed them with Jake Browning, right?
Yeah, and even
then, literally destroyed them.
Straight up, even then they could still destroy them. So
they will. They will.
That's like
Browns are no issue.
That's why I'm saying I'm with you. I have them statted at 12 wins. They could probably win more. They could maybe win less.
They'll win the last 1, 2.
Either way, that's a smash on the over.
The other thing that they do always is they get hot at the end.
They do.
And
I'm not gonna lie, this could be a season where Joe actually starts hot because he's healthy and everyone else is.
And the schedule is favorable for the first few games in terms of what like Browns and Jags. Instead of starting 0-2, you can finally start 2-0, just in terms of the first 2 games. Even
week 3, I'd say, is not even like it's nothing against Minnesota. I like Minnesota. I think JJ McCarthy is gonna be good. But again, he's technically a rookie quarterback in a sense coming in.
I think we start 4-0, and the loss will either come to the Lions because they're good, or the Packers because it's on the road. But it's not really a big deal because it's not Lambeau in December; it's Lambeau in October. It's not a big deal at all.
Even then, Joe plays better in the snow. That's why That's why they call him Joe Burr.
Yeah. So regardless, again, you could just hypothetically. Just like you could see the Steelers start 6-0 or start 1-5, you could see the Bengals start 6-0, or you could see the Bengals potentially start 2-4. That, just to be real about it, like they could lose the Vikings all the way to Packers. They probably won't because they've made certain adjustments, improvements, and kept the right guys. But as a whole, again, I think the last 5 weeks are W's. From Bills on, I think they'll probably lose. They might that Thursday night game and Thanksgiving to the Ravens is interesting, but just because it's in Baltimore, I'll give Baltimore that win and split with us. And then, but outside of that, like the last, from week 13 on, those 6 weeks, they'll be 5-1. 7 to week 12, they'll be most likely 3-2 at the worst, most likely 4-1.
Yeah.
And then the first 6, I have them at 5-1. So to me, that's three losses, and we'll give them another one somewhere random in there that we just maybe don't expect. I have them at 13-4 because of that. And even then, that's giving them a loss that I would be searching for.
Yeah.
So I do think that they have a path to win the division. Again, the defense stepping up to even just being a top 20 defense will make all the difference in the world. It'll be between them and the Ravens. It could come down to even their matchups, and because they could end up with the same.
They're both at the back end.
They could be 12 wins, and
that's part of the thing. Is I low key actually have Bengals probably pulling it out both times.
Ravens did that to us barely twice last year with the field goal and that we missed in OT, and then they got one. And then the
No
2-point conversion, we went, no more Tucker for sure. So, but even then, it'll be an interesting thing to kind of see what happens and go week by week, see if the defenses improve like everyone thinks on both sides. So we'll see.
Yeah. And real quick, just since we're on the Bengals, again, Joe Burrow's MVP odds right now are plus 600.
Love that.
Bengals plus 450 for them to have 1+ passing touchdown in every single game. Low key, kind of a fun stat.
I would look into that same thing for maybe Ravens with rushing.
I think that that is a thing for sure, probably. Well, more likely passing, but Joe Burrow is also plus 450, the leader in most passing touchdowns on the season.
Yep.
The two of us very much like that. We both have Joe Burrow taking the MVP this year, as he should have probably last season. We think that the defense is going to be a little bit better to where they're smashing that over 9.5. And they're plus 265 in terms of winning the division is just something that I love as well.
Sorry, dog literally, I went downstairs, she chewed one of these cups, and there was one of the stickers on the cup was on her, and I had to just peel it off right now.
One of the Super Bowl stickers?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
She wanted to be part of the Super Bowl.
She's mad. She's trying to turn off the stream, and now she's taking over. I told you we come to this.
Yes. But yeah, so just a quick division in terms of order. Bengals, Ravens kind of preference and most Ravens fans will have probably the opposite, which completely understandable. And I could see that 100%. I have Bengals just slightly edging them out. And for the division, Ravens easily top wild card team because they're not a wild card team, just like the Bengals wouldn't be in that other case.
Yeah.
And the vice versa. But Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and then Browns. You're probably looking at the Browns
Let's say if we had to stat them out real quick, I have them low key at 3-14 this season.
That sounds about right to me.
We don't necessarily have to go through the whole schedule, but they got some tough teams, especially the first 4 weeks. They play Cincinnati at Baltimore, Green Bay at Detroit.
Yeah, I think they
terrible.
I think they start 0-6.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy wise, Judy they're going to be down and having to throw to Judy and Tillman a ton. I know also real quick today, I believe they had reported out that Jerome Ford is technically the one on the official depth chart with Dylan Sampson as the 2. I thought I saw some official news on Judkins, but it was low key, probably just some fake account type bull crap that looked real.
Yeah.
But it did remind me that there is definitely a chance that when Judkins does come back, if he gets signed this season, there is a chance that because of the whole Protect the Shield Act, that he gets suspended for 2 to 4 games. So that is something to think about in terms of just the whole roster construction. Dylan Sampson and if you have Judkins not only in Dynasty but also in redraft this season. But yeah, they're plus 300 or plus 3,300 to win the division. Not happening. 4.5 is their total, like over under for total wins. Like I said, I have them statted out at like 3. So right now, I don't see them getting 5 wins. I kind of like taking the under on that.
They might get to 4, but
I see them getting a top pick next year. Even if Shadur starts, I like Shadur, but there's nothing that tells me he's going to be good enough to win them 5 games this season at some point. And even then, I think that they have a better chance of winning 5 games with Flacco under center than they do Shadur.
Yeah, for now, yeah. We'll see what happens with everything. Yeah. But at this point, that's our AFC North breakdown. We definitely appreciate you for joining us. As far as any questions, concerns, we'll have another episode tomorrow.
Yeah, feel free to put any in the comments if you want us to get to some questions in the next stream. We even, depending on how the day goes, might have a stream coming out later. We'll see though.
I'll probably be back home around I guess 4:00 Pacific time. So
we could do a stream later around 5 or 6 potentially, but we'll see how the day is going.
Around 8:00 Eastern if you're on the East Coast or whatever the case.
Any last lays for today, or should I put any out there for Thursday and Friday.
We'll talk about that probably either tonight or tomorrow in terms
Okay.
of delays for the like football.
Yes, sir. We will be doing the AFC West breakdown as soon as possible. If we're streaming later today, Rico, I promise we'll be talking about them. And I know you want us to talk about your Bolts. I know you want us to talk about your Chargers. And I feel terrible. I almost feel bad for myself because for once I got to be on your side and be like, they're going to be good this year.
Oh, yeah, they'll be a good team. Well coached, good offense, hopefully. And the one thing they need to improve on is defense.
Sure.
Consistent
I think
defense.
Their offense is good enough to where they should be in every game this season, though. So,
oh, sure. Yeah.
That'll be
lots of weapons.
Yeah, it should honestly be a fun Friday night matchup.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers teased, I think.
Yeah, real quick on last thing that we'll get to kind of for this stream. I did see Najee had a full practice yesterday. Good for him. It looks like he's getting ramped up to at least play this weekend in some capacity. Doesn't give me any confidence that he's going to get more touches than Hampton, though, or that he's going to be used that much, which means full go on Hampton still. We already talked about it with some questions earlier in the chat. I love Hampton. He's probably my favorite bet still for anytime touchdown this week. Just to give you some stuff for Friday. If I had to take anybody for these games real quick, I think Eagles and Chiefs, maybe even Chargers in a teaser would be the way to do it.
Yeah, I would take definitely Chargers and Eagles in the tees, most likely. Maybe figure out which.
Yeah, I like the Chargers price.
Yeah, I'd also try to maybe figure out which over under I like more, or what on whichever.
Low key, I was gonna say for that night game, I love the Chiefs over under in a tease because you can get it down to. I got it down to 38. I don't know if you can still get it down to 38, but
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it's pretty slammer to me. All right, we will see you guys later with the AFC West breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe. This has been the Double Down. Make sure to double down on all your takes. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.